So I want to touch on Andy Reid a little bit right here because very similar to Patrick Mahomes, a lot of people are starting to have different conversations when it comes to Andy Reid. And rightfully so, because the success of Patrick Mahomes is not an accident. Because we know Mahomes is talented, but also, who's his head coach? Oh, yeah, it's Andy Reid. Andy Reid is excellent. He's awesome. And if Andy Reid were to win a third Super Bowl trophy, he's going to continue to climb up that head coach hierarchy as far as all-time special head coaches cemented in NFL history. But I think people are going just a little bit too far when it comes to Andy Reid. I don't think Andy Reid will ever reach the status of greatest NFL head coach of all time. I don't see it. And here's the thing. Let's just agree for now that Bill Belichick is kind of the standard, because he does have the 6 Super Bowl wins. He's coached for God knows how many years. And yeah, I mean, are you going to throw in Bill Walsh as the greatest head coach of all time? Vince Lombardi? I mean, really, really talented guys and guys that deserve to be in the GOAT conversation. But to me, Belichick is the top guy. If Andy Reid doubles his Super Bowl victories, so if he does that, he'd have 4 Super Bowl trophies to his name, Andy Reid. He'd be 2 rings behind Belichick. That's an entire Hall of Fame coaching career gap. If an NFL head coach wins 2 Super Bowl rings, they're going to probably make the NFL Hall of Fame. That's the gap between Andy Reid and Bill Belichick if Andy Reid doubles his Super Bowl victories. And the other thing about Andy Reid is I just don't think he has enough time. If Andy Reid were sitting on 2 Super Bowl rings and he'd be, I don't know, anywhere from 58 to 60 years old, then we might be talking. The only problem is Andy Reid is 65 years old. And I highly doubt he's going to coach another 10 years. I just don't think Andy Reid has it in his heart to coach another 10 years. I understand it's probably going to be easy coaching Patrick Mahomes compared to some of these other coaches and their situations. But, I mean, yeah, I don't think Andy Reid strikes me as a guy that wants to coach for another 10 years. And for those people that are knocking on the Andy Reid for potential greatest head coach of all time, I hear you. He had success with McNabb. Got McNabb to a Super Bowl, even though I think Donovan McNabb himself as a talent is underrated. But again, Andy Reid did that. He had success with Michael Vick, had success with Alex Smith, and now he's found this ultra-talented quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, and he's one of the guys that helped develop Patrick Mahomes. And now he's winning Super Bowls. And he's back in the Super Bowl once again and might win another one, or 2 or 3. We'll see. But the bottom line is, when it comes to Belichick and Andy Reid, neither of them were winning titles before they got all-time great quarterbacks. So even if you want to say, oh, Belichick, he's not that great of a head coach without Tom Brady, that's somewhat of a fair argument. But the bottom line is Andy Reid did not win championships until he got his hands on Patrick Mahomes, just like Bill Belichick didn't win championships until he got his hands on Tom Brady. And some people are arguing that Patrick Mahomes, just from a talent perspective, is better than Tom Brady. Now, we know about Brady's greatness and Brady's resume, but just in terms of talent, what we have to work with in terms of play calling and how Patrick Mahomes can elevate his teammates and elevate a situation, some people think that he clears Brady in that category because some people think that Brady, there's a little bit of a game manager, syndrome to his game. And I don't think those people are necessarily wrong, but all I'm saying is, if we're going to say that Belichick only won Super Bowls because of Tom Brady, we can say the same exact thing for Andy Reid because it's a literal fact, people. We've seen it. You can look it up if you haven't seen it, but it's the honest truth. Now, I will say this right now. If Andy Reid can get the 5 Super Bowl championships won, I think we will legitimately have to have a conversation about him being the greatest NFL head coach of all time, because I don't think he needs to necessarily match Bill in rings, but he needs to come pretty darn close or at least match him, for me at least. And I think for most NFL fans to say, yeah, Andy Reid's potentially the greatest head coach of all time in NFL history. So I don't think Andy Reid is going to get the 5 Super Bowl championships won, but it's at least somewhat on the table. So I'm willing to revisit this conversation when Andy Reid stacks up more championships. And maybe he's going to do so. I think that he has a great chance to do so, but we have to actually see it happen. But ultimately, for my money, if I were to guess, even if he comes close to Belichick's 6 rings, I just don't think Andy Reid is ever going to reach the status of greatest head coach of all time in NFL history. But that's how I feel. How do you feel? Let me know in the comment section. Love to know what you guys have to say.